What's going on, Tamers? East here, and with our continuing coverage of the Digimon Alysion closed beta test, I want to talk a little bit about something I think is in the back of everybody's mind, but no one's really saying outright. Right now, everyone is super excited that the Digimon Card Game actually has a digital version, and you can play it on your phone, which is awesome, but people are probably thinking, how free-to-play friendly is that game going to be? How easy is it going to be for me to actually play the game in the digital version as opposed to just a physical version? Let me get on my soapbox here, as if I didn't need to get any taller and be super upfront with you folks. As someone who got back into physical card games with the Digimon Card Game after decades, I would wholeheartedly recommend trying out the physical version of the game if you have not. If that's not an option for you, the digital version is, of course, coming out later this year or next year at some point. But if it's within your power, I definitely recommend joining or creating your own local card game group, and then with them going to events and meeting people and fans there. Probably some of the richest and best friendships you'll make in your life. And so with that out of the way, let's talk about Digimon Alysion. Now, if you're wondering about my overall early opinions about the game, I have an entire video dedicated to that. Definitely check it out on the channel. This video, I'm only going to be talking about the economy for the game and what the game's free-to-play ability looks like. So right off the bat, let's talk about the ways you can actually get cards within the game. There's a couple of different ways. As we're going through this, also keep in mind that what I'm talking about is from a closed beta test, and that means that everything I'm about to say is definitely subject to change, but I think what they've given us at the closed beta test is a good baseline for what we can expect in the real game. I do expect some things to change, but from what I've seen so far, I have pretty guarded optimism about the ability for players to get cards and create decks. So with that said, let's actually take a look at ways you can get cards within the game. There's actually quite a few different ones. As you go through the game and as you progress, you also get access to some of the original Digimon Card Game starter decks that were released when the game first came out. Keep in mind that all of the cards released right now are between the first and the third set of the game, with a couple of new cards sprinkled in each set. Outside of the decks that you get from just playing the story, you also get a free daily pack whenever you log in once a day. So every 24 hours you have the ability to open up one free pack, and the cards within that pack are, it seems like, from any of the sets that are currently available in the game. You can think of it as a mega pack that essentially gives you any card available in the game. The cool thing here is that while there is a 24-hour cooldown, you can use an item that you receive in-game that's a clock that can reduce that time by 2 hours. And so if you use up to 12 clocks at a time, you can actually reduce the time back to 0, and then you can get another free pack immediately. Keep in mind, you don't have to use all 12 at one time. You can just use 1 or 2 or 3 or however many you want at any given point, depending on what your countdown looks like till the next free pack. Outside of this, there's also the breeding mechanic. This is one of the coolest things I think I've seen so far in the game, and that is every 30 minutes you can hatch an egg or evolve a Digimon in the breeding section of the game. And it's like a really cool throwback to a lot of the old 2D Digimon like pet devices from back in the day, where you can hatch an egg and then every 30 minutes you can come back and you can evolve that Digimon up to the next level. And once that Digimon's reaches its like best form or its max form, you can exchange that max form Digimon for a card in the game. The thing is, the card that you receive is not going to be the max level Digimon guaranteed. Instead, it'll be one of the Digimon from its evolution line. So if you take a look at all the Digimon you went through to evolve to that point, it could be any one of those cards. The example that I have when I first booted up the game, I went through Yokomon, and then Biomon, and then Birdramon, Metal Greymon, and then to War Greymon, and from those, when I exchanged to get a card, I got Birdramon. So everything I've talked about up until this point is probably like the sprinkling one of how you can get card packs. The most common way you're going to get and open packs in the game is through the use of Digigems, the in-game currency. You can trade 100 Digigems for one pack, and one pack has 6 cards in it. Welcome to the Japanese version of the game, folks, even if you're living in the West. And for 1,000 Digigems, you can open 10 packs with a guaranteed single SR or better. And so with this concept of Digigems, you're going to want to get as many of these in-game as a way to get more packs. So the next question becomes, how do I actually get gems? There's actually quite a few different ways the game gives you them right now. At current, you get 100 gems just for logging in as your daily login bonus, on top of 50 gems if you do all of your daily tasks for the day. The game has some tasks you can do, for example, play 6 blue Digimon, or play 1 PvP match, or something like that. By doing all of these, from what I've seen so far, you get 50 of them for the day. I think they're split up like 15, 15, and then 20. So if you do the first 2, you get 15 each, and the last one gives you 20. And with this concept of tasks, there's just a bunch of lifetime achievements that you can get while you're playing the game that gives you gems as well. Most of these give anywhere between 100 and 500 gems, but I think the most common one that I've seen so far is just like 300. And this ranges from anything like having over 100 cards in your collection, or having over 500 cards in your collection, to playing X battles, or de-digivolving or digivolving X amount of times in the breeding area, playing X amount of option cards. There's a bunch of them just that you'll get throughout the game's lifetime, but when you start the game up, you get a ton of them really fast. I think within like the first 2 hours or so of the game, I got about 3,000 of these just from the tasks themselves. And I think I was being slow about it, so folks out there who are really like grinding can probably go a lot faster than me. On top of this, you also get gems just for playing games. You get 50 gems if you win a match, and if you get 5 gems if you don't win the match. I also noticed that alongside the gems you get for playing matches, you also get something called experience, and your character actually does have a level. Unfortunately, right now I don't know what that level means. So that means there's pretty much 3 different ways you can get cards. First one being your daily logins, and you can reduce that login time by 2 hours using the clocks to get more of them more quickly. You can also use the breeding mechanic to evolve Digimon and get one of the Digimon from that line. And then finally, you can use Digigems to just buy card packs. I'm assuming that when the game actually comes out, you can actually purchase them using real money. In the beta, there is no use of money at all so far. Once the game does release though, I'm really interested to see what the actual Digigems to real world currency conversion rate looks like. I believe the numbers for the matches were 50 gems if you win and 5 gems if you lose. So if you do the average here, which is about 27.5, that means you can get a 10 pull, again 1,000 gems, by playing around 36 games. Is that right? Someone do the math for me, but I think that's right. And with that, you're probably thinking, well, East, what if I don't want to just like spend all my Digigems to gamble on getting the right cards that I want? Is there a way that I can actually create cards that I know that I want? And the answer to that is yes. The game also has another currency called card synthesis points that you can use to actually create cards. The cost of synthesizing a card or creating it is about 5 times in most cases, 4 in the case of secret rares, of the cost that you get or the price that you get for actually disassembling the cards. So for the case of commons, it takes 50 card synthesis points to actually create the card, but you only get 10 for disassembling it. For uncommons, the numbers are 100 to synthesize or create, and then 20 that you get back from disassembling it. And then with rares, it's 250 to 50. Now, SRs and secret rares are where things change a little bit, where in SRs, it costs 1,500 card synthesis points in order to create it, but you only get 200 for disassembling them. And in the case of secret rares, it costs 6,000 card synthesis points to create one, but you only get back 1,500 for disassembling them. When you first see those numbers, you're probably thinking, man, that's kind of tough, isn't it? Now, the kicker here, and again, I don't know if this is only for the beta, who knows? Again, take this with a grain of salt. Parallel and foil cards are like a gold mine. They actually run on a different ratio where you cannot synthesize foil cards, you cannot create them out of nothing, but for disassembling a foil card, you get 2,000 card synthesis points. And that is regardless of the card's regular value. So even if it's a foil or a parallel common card, you get 2,000 synthesis points for it. And right now, finding foils is actually pretty easy. I think I opened like 40 packs and I got about 40 different foils, which equates to like 80,000 card synthesis points. With those kind of numbers, you can pretty much from scratch build 2 to 3 any decks from the get-go that you want. And this is enough to just in the beginning play the game without having to reroll a bunch of times to get the cards you want out of packs and have enough card synthesis points left over to create the rest of the things you need. You can pretty much create anything. So hearing this, you're probably super excited. That means you pretty much from the get-go don't have to spend anything to make the decks you want. You basically boot up the game, play for 2 hours, get like 2,000 or 3,000 Digigems, open up a bunch of packs, and then just sell off the foils and then make whatever deck you want after that. I think at this point that I probably have to be the adult in the room and say, okay, let's all be real for a moment. This seems like a situation that's too good to be true, and in that case, it might just be because we're in the beta and you can't actually spend currency that they've done this. I pretty much expect the cost of foil cards to change once the actual game version comes out. Otherwise, I don't know how Bandai really makes money from this. Again, I'm not the business guy, but at the end of the day, if I can just make 2 to 3 decks off rip that I want, and then from there I can just sell off foils for 2,000 a piece, I don't ever have a reason to spend money. And Bandai wants to make, I assume, some money off of this, right? Like, it's not just a funnel into the physical card game. There's also some desire to have people actually spend and play this game as well. And so this is why I have that guarded optimism. I think right now things are super good, maybe even too good. And whatever they set the foil values to in-game, I think it's going to have a huge impact on what the free playability of this game looks like. I of course want this to be a success and be popular among people and is a way that people get more interested in the Digimon card game and the community grows overall. But I also want Bandai to see this game as viable so that they can keep and continue supporting it in a good way. And so with that, I think we can wrap this video up. These are pretty much all my findings so far. Again, I've never been a super big like, what's the free playability of a game looks like. I've played games like Shadowverse in the past, and the original Shadowverse was super free to play friendly, maybe even too much so, whereas the newer one has gotten some negative press, even though I think it's not so bad. However, if you have more experience in this realm than I do, which is probably the larger portion of the people watching this video, then definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyways, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.